30 minutes a day to speak English fluently. Fluency is not a vocabulary list. It is not grammar rules. It is not even perfect pronunciation. Fluency is rhythm. Think about music for a moment. A song that moves you doesn't depend on every instrument being perfect, but on the rhythm that pulls everything together. English is exactly like that. You can know hundreds of words, but if you speak them in a broken rhythm, your speech feels forced, robotic, and uncomfortable. On the other hand, even with limited vocabulary, if your rhythm flows, people will say, "Wow, your English sounds natural." That rhythm is the hidden key, and most learners never unlock it because they are too focused on textbooks and not enough on sound. Every language carries a heartbeat. English has its own pulse, a way of stretching and shortening syllables, a rise and fall in tone that makes it alive. You've probably noticed when a native speaker talks quickly, you cannot separate every word, yet you still understand the message. Why? Because your brain catches the rhythm, the pattern, the music of English. But when you try to speak, you stop at each word, checking grammar, translating in your head, and the rhythm dies. That is why you feel stuck. That is why, after years of study, you still hesitate in real conversation. Imagine this. Two students learn the same 500 words. The first memorizes them silently, writing lists over and over. The second speaks them aloud every day, practicing the rhythm of short sentences, repeating them in different tones, playing with speed. After 1 month, the second student sounds more fluent, even if he makes grammar mistakes because rhythm communicates confidence. Which one do you think others will want to talk with? Exactly. The one who speaks with flow. Communication is about connection, not perfection. This is why 30 minutes a day is not random. It is the sweet spot where you can engage with rhythm consistently without burning out. Think of a drummer practicing. He doesn't play for 10 hours straight once a week. He repeats the beat every day and the rhythm becomes part of his body. For English, those 30 minutes allow your mouth, your ears, and your brain to sync together like instruments in a band. The first 5 minutes, your mouth feels heavy. The next 10, you start to loosen. By the end, you are flowing. And tomorrow, you repeat. That repetition builds rhythm faster than any book or grammar explanation. Now ask yourself honestly, how many times have you tried to study English for hours, only to feel drained and forget everything the next day? The problem was never you. The problem was the lack of rhythm in your training. Language is not information to be memorized. It is movement to be repeated. If you only read silently, you are starving your rhythm. If you only focus on rules, you are ignoring the music. Rhythm demands sound, practice, and consistency. Let me prove this to you right now. Say this sentence out loud. I go to work every day. Simple, right? Now say it with rhythm. Don't break it word by word. Flow it. I go to work every day. Feel how the words connect. This is not grammar. This is rhythm. If you practice like this for 35 minutes daily, your brain will stop translating. You will begin to speak as you think. That is the secret to fluency, and it begins not with new vocabulary, not with complicated grammar, but with rhythm. So, the reason you are stuck is not because you are bad at English, it is because you are learning without rhythm. And today, that changes. Over the next parts, I'll show you how to build a 35-minute routine that injects rhythm into your practice, so that in weeks, not years, you will sound more natural, more confident, and more fluent than you ever imagined. Most English learners chase a ghost. They believe fluency means speaking with perfect grammar, perfect accent, and perfect vocabulary. They imagine a day when they will finally feel ready, when every sentence comes out flawless, when mistakes disappear. But that day never comes. Why? Because perfection is an illusion. The more you chase it, the further away fluency feels. You freeze in conversations, your mind races for the correct word. You hesitate, you panic, and the moment passes. The truth is, perfection is not fluency. Progress is fluency. Mistakes are fluency. And if you want to speak with rhythm and confidence, you must break the illusion that perfection is the goal. Think about how children learn. A child never waits until grammar is perfect before speaking. A toddler doesn't say, "I'll wait 5 years to master irregular verbs before I try to talk." They speak immediately, broken, messy, incorrect, but with rhythm, and the rhythm carries them forward. Over time, their mistakes shrink because they keep speaking. Adults, however, reverse the process. They try to clean every sentence before it leaves their mouth, and the rhythm dies before it even starts. That is why you know so much in your head. Yet when it's time to speak, silence wins. Now imagine two learners. The first refuses to speak until every sentence is right. They study books, watch videos, take notes. The second speaks every day, even with errors, even with broken sentences. After 6 months, the second learner has rhythm, speed, and confidence. The first learner has a notebook. Which one is closer to fluency? The answer is obvious. Fluency grows from imperfection, not from the fear of it. But why is this illusion so powerful? Because school trained you to fear mistakes. Red marks on papers, corrections on every error, punishments for failure. The classroom taught you to avoid being wrong. But language is not math. In real conversations, mistakes are invisible if rhythm is present. Say, he go to work instead of he goes to work. People still understand you instantly. But if you pause, freeze, and overthink, they lose patience. Fluency is not accuracy. Fluency is flow. Here is the paradox. The faster you allow yourself to be wrong, the faster you become right. Every mistake is a teacher. Every broken sentence is a step forward. Perfection is like a locked door. You keep pushing, waiting for the key. Progress is like a window already open. All you need to do is climb through. The problem is not your level of English. The problem is your fear of breaking the illusion. Let me ask you, when you hear a foreigner speak your language, do you care about their small mistakes? Or do you admire their courage? You probably smile, help them, and feel connected. Why do you think English speakers won't do the same for you? They don't expect perfection. They expect connection. And connection comes from rhythm, energy, and willingness to speak, not from endless correction. Here's the truth you must accept. The longer you wait for perfect English, the longer you delay real English. Perfection is the enemy of rhythm. Perfection is the silent killer of confidence. The day you stop trying to be perfect is the day your fluency truly begins. Because from that moment, you give yourself permission to practice daily, to repeat, to stumble, to get up, and to flow again. And that rhythm is unstoppable. So as you commit to your 30 minutes a day, carry this mindset. Mistakes are not the enemy. They are the fuel. Each wrong word is a push forward. Each awkward pause is a reminder that you are breaking old chains. The illusion of fluency is gone. From now on, fluency is not a dream of perfection. It is the reality of daily progress. That is the only path that works, and it is the path you start walking today. Most learners believe the more time they spend studying, the faster they'll improve. They imagine that locking themselves in a room for 3, 4, even 6 hours straight will push them toward fluency. But the brain doesn't work like that. Language is not absorbed like water filling a glass. It's built through repetition, consolidation, and recovery. And this is why short, consistent sessions of 35 minutes outperform marathon sessions that exhaust your memory and motivation. The human brain learns in cycles. Neuroscience shows that our attention naturally rises and falls in about 25 to 40-minute waves. After that, focus collapses and retention drops sharply. You might still sit with the book open, but your mind is wandering. Information goes in, then slips out almost instantly. That's why after hours of study, you often remember little the next day. Your brain was overloaded, the circuit fried. But when you train for 35 minutes daily, you align perfectly with this natural cycle. You finish before fatigue destroys focus. You let the brain breathe, process, and store what it just practiced. The next day when you repeat, the cycle strengthens. This is how fluency is built. Not in one exhausting marathon, but in daily micro-sessions that respect how memory actually works. Think about athletes. A sprinter doesn't run 10 marathons to get faster. They train in short bursts, repeated daily, building speed and endurance step by step. Musicians don't practice 12 hours straight and then take a week off. They practice for short blocks every single day until their fingers and ears internalize rhythm. Language works exactly the same way. Your brain is an instrument, and 30 minutes a day is the sweet spot where practice becomes performance. There's also the science of sleep. When you study for hours, you overload the hippocampus, the brain's temporary memory store. It can't handle the flood, so most of it is lost. But when you give it focused input in short sessions, your brain has room to consolidate during rest. That's why the next day, those words, those phrases, that rhythm feels easier. Your brain had time to build the pathways. It's not about how much you pour in at once. It's about how often you refill the cup. Now consider motivation. How many times have you promised yourself a study day only to quit halfway, feeling guilty and unmotivated? Long sessions create pressure, and pressure kills consistency. But 30 minutes feels light, possible, sustainable. You finish, you feel successful, and you want to return tomorrow. This builds momentum. Momentum builds habit. Habit builds fluency. It's not discipline that matters most. It's designing a system that keeps you coming back without burning out. Let's do a simple experiment. Imagine 2 learners. One studies 3 hours every Sunday. That's 12 hours a month. The other studies 35 minutes daily. That's about 18 hours a month. But here's the difference. The first learner has only 4 inputs, once a week. The second has 30 inputs, 1 every day. Which brain will adapt faster? The one that receives 30 consistent hits of rhythm, vocabulary, and speaking. Quantity alone is not enough. Frequency matters more than volume. Consistency matters more than intensity. So when you hear 30 minutes a day, don't underestimate it. Those minutes are powerful because they are repeated. They turn English into a daily rhythm, not a special event. They transform practice from a burden into a lifestyle. 3 hours once a week feels heroic, but it fades. 35 minutes a day feels small, but it compounds. Over weeks, over months, it multiplies your progress until one day you notice you're no longer translating, no longer hesitating, no longer afraid. You're flowing. That is the science of micro-sessions. Not because it's easier, but because it's smarter. You are training your brain according to its natural design, not against it. You are building fluency through rhythm, repetition, and recovery, not exhaustion. And if you trust this process, if you commit to 30 minutes every single day, your results will be greater than you ever thought possible. Most learners believe that rereading vocabulary lists or watching endless videos will somehow make English stick. But the brain doesn't grow stronger through passive exposure. It grows through retrieval, through the act of pulling information out, not just pouring it in. This is where active recall and shadowing change everything. These two practices transform your 35 minutes into a training ground where your brain stops memorizing and starts living in English. Active recall is simple but powerful. Instead of looking at a list and repeating what's written, you close the book and force yourself to remember. Instead of rereading, you test yourself. What was that word for pedido? Request. What phrase did I hear for greeting politely? How's it going? Each time you pull knowledge from memory, you strengthen the pathway. It's like lifting weights for your brain. Reading is watching someone else lift. Active recall is lifting yourself. Which one builds muscle? Always the second. That's why learners who quiz themselves daily outperform those who spend double the time rereading notes. Shadowing takes this to the next level. When you shadow, you don't just repeat words after hearing them. You imitate rhythm, intonation, speed, and even emotion, almost like an echo that merges with the original voice. Imagine watching a short dialogue in English. You press play, listen once, then repeat immediately, trying to match the exact sound, not just the words. At first, it feels impossible. Your mouth resists, your tongue trips. But little by little you align with the rhythm, and then something magical happens. Your brain stops translating. You start thinking in English because your mouth is trained to move in English patterns. Think about music again. You don't learn a song by reading the lyrics silently. You sing along, line after line, until your voice blends with the rhythm. Shadowing does the same for language. It tricks your brain into internalizing patterns naturally. Instead of saying, "Which tense is this verb?" you just say it. Instead of calculating the grammar, you feel the sentence because you've practiced it 100 times in rhythm. That is fluency, automatic response born from repetition. Let's imagine a daily practice. 10 minutes of active recall. You test yourself on yesterday's words and phrases without looking. 5 minutes of quick correction. Check what you forgot, repeat it until it sticks. Then 15 minutes of shadowing. Listen to a real conversation, echo it instantly, try again faster. And 5 minutes of free speaking. Talk to yourself, narrate your day, ask questions aloud. That's 35 minutes, and every second is alive, not passive. Why is this so effective? Because you're engaging all senses. Listening for sound, speaking with rhythm, recalling from memory, correcting mistakes, repeating patterns. Your brain thrives on variety. Active recall forces retrieval. Shadowing forces performance. Together they create automatic fluency. And here's the deeper secret. These methods build confidence. When you can recall words without notes, you trust yourself. When you shadow and sound close to the recording, you believe in your rhythm. Confidence is not magic. It is evidence. Every daily session gives your brain evidence that you can speak, recall, and flow. That evidence destroys fear. That's why learners who shadow daily often report that real conversations suddenly feel easier, even with strangers. So when you think about your 35 minutes, don't imagine boring drills or endless reading. Imagine lifting weights with your brain through recall. Imagine singing along with the rhythm of English through shadowing. Imagine transforming every mistake into a stronger pathway. This is training at its best. Alive, challenging, rewarding. And with time, your brain no longer says, "How do I translate this?" It says, I already know how this sounds. That is the moment fluency begins. Language is not a subject you study, it is a tool you live with. Too many learners imagine English as something that exists only inside notebooks, courses, or classrooms. They separate study time from real life as if they are two different worlds. But fluency comes when you erase that line. Every moment of your day can be practice. Every routine, every task, every thought is an opportunity to train rhythm, words, and confidence. Once you learn to see daily life as practice, the study desk becomes optional and fluency accelerates naturally. Consider your morning routine. You wake up, brush your teeth, make breakfast. In silence, your brain runs on autopilot. But what if you turn those 10 minutes into English training? As you brush your teeth, narrate aloud. I'm brushing my teeth, I'm cleaning my mouth, now I'm rinsing. As you prepare coffee. I'm boiling water, I'm pouring it slowly, I'm stirring the sugar. These are simple sentences, but the impact is huge. You are connecting English to real actions. You are giving rhythm to your day. You are training your brain to think without translation because the action and the words happen together. That's not study, that's living in English. Think about your commute. Most people fill it with scrolling or silence, but you can transform it into a fluency gym. Listen to an English podcast, repeat key phrases aloud, or even shadow conversations quietly. Pretend you are part of the dialogue. The bus becomes your classroom. The street noise becomes background music. The rhythm of English enters your daily rhythm and your brain accepts it as normal. Even chores can become training. Washing dishes, folding clothes, cleaning the floor, tasks that normally feel boring can turn into practice sessions. Speak to yourself as if you're teaching someone else. Now I'm washing the plate. The plate is clean. The fork is shiny. I put it in the drawer. At first it feels silly, but the repetition of simple sentences with rhythm trains automatic structures. Later, in real conversation, those same sentence patterns appear without effort. You've been drilling them without noticing. Conversations with yourself are another hidden weapon. You don't need a teacher or a partner to practice dialogue. You can simulate it. Ask yourself a question and answer immediately. What are you doing today? I'm working on a project. What do you want for lunch? I think I'll have rice and chicken. The key is rhythm, not content. By speaking both roles, you double your practice. You build fluency through play. Technology amplifies this. Use your phone in English. Change app settings, write notes, search in English. Each action forces your brain to adapt. Instead of typing tempo hoj, type weather today. Instead of alarm, type alarm. Small choices accumulate. Within weeks, your phone becomes a language coach, reminding you daily that English is not a subject but a tool. Even your inner voice can be trained. That silent monologue you carry all day, thinking about work, planning, complaining, dreaming, can shift into English. At first it feels slow. You reach for words, you hesitate. But over time, your thoughts start flowing faster. And when your thoughts switch languages, fluency follows naturally. Thinking is practice too. Daily life immersion solves the biggest problem learners face: lack of time. You may not have hours for study, but you always have minutes in your routine. Each minute can be transformed. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You practice in every moment. That's how English becomes a living rhythm, not a task on your schedule. So remember, the 35 minutes of structured study are your foundation, but fluency grows when you carry English beyond the desk. Every brush stroke, every step on the street, every conversation in your head is training. When you live this way, you stop asking, "When will I practice English?" and start realizing, "I am practicing right now." That is when fluency becomes not a goal in the future, but a reality in the present. Most learners think progress in English can only be measured by tests, certificates, or exam scores. They wait for external proof, a grade that tells them, "Yes, you're improving." But the truth is, fluency cannot be measured by a piece of paper. Fluency lives in rhythm, in confidence, in the way your words flow without hesitation. And the most powerful signs of progress are not found in classrooms, but in real life. When you stop looking for traditional grades and start noticing the hidden indicators of fluency, you begin to see just how far you've come. One of the first indicators is reaction time. In the beginning, you translate everything. Someone asks, "How are you?" And your brain goes, "Como esto?" "I'm fine." That gap between hearing and answering feels heavy. But with daily practice, that gap shrinks. You respond faster, sometimes instantly. That speed is not random. It's evidence that your brain is storing patterns and recalling them automatically. When you notice your answers coming quicker, that's progress. Real, measurable progress. Another indicator is rhythm in speech. At first, you stop between every word. Your sentences feel mechanical. But over time, your speech flows like a song. The words connect, your voice rises and falls naturally, and suddenly you sound more like a native speaker. You may still make grammar mistakes, but people no longer notice because rhythm covers imperfections. Record yourself weekly and listen back. Compare your rhythm after 1 month of daily 35-minute practice. You will hear the difference even if no teacher gives you a grade. Comprehension is another hidden sign. When you start, a movie in English feels impossible. But after weeks of consistent practice, you catch more words, then phrases, then whole sentences. One day you laugh at a joke without subtitles. That moment is not luck, it's proof. Your brain is tuning into the frequency of English. You may not notice daily growth, but these milestones are the clearest signs of improvement. Confidence is perhaps the most powerful indicator. At first, speaking feels like climbing a mountain. Your heart races, your palms sweat. You avoid conversations. But after weeks of practice, you find yourself jumping into dialogue more willingly. You no longer fear mistakes. You speak louder, with more energy. This confidence is not imaginary. It's the result of accumulated practice. Every time you speak and survive, your brain learns that speaking is safe. That shift is measurable. You feel it in your body. There are also creative ways to measure progress without numbers. Time yourself reading a short text aloud, then compare after 1 month. Write a short diary entry in English every night, then reread older pages. You will see your sentences growing longer, your vocabulary richer, your rhythm smoother. Record short videos of yourself speaking for 2 minutes, then watch them back after 90 days. The difference will shock you. No exam can capture that transformation. Here's the key. Progress in fluency is not about reaching perfection. It's about reducing friction. The less you hesitate, the less you translate, the more you flow. That is growth. The moment you stop asking, "Am I improving?" and start noticing, that conversation felt easier than last time. You are measuring fluency the right way. Tests may give numbers, but life gives proof. So stop waiting for external validation. Create your own evidence. Record, compare, reflect. Pay attention to how you feel, how quickly you respond, how naturally you flow. These are your new grades. And every day you commit to 35 minutes, you're adding marks to your invisible report card. No teacher can hand it to you. You write it yourself, one practice at a time. Progress without tests is not only possible, it's the only progress that matters. Because when you finally speak with confidence, no one will ask for your certificate. They will listen, understand, and connect. That connection is the only grade you'll ever need. This is where everything comes together. You've discovered the rhythm that fuels fluency, the illusion of perfection that holds you back, the science of micro-sessions that unlocks memory, the techniques of active recall and shadowing that rewire your brain, the daily immersion that turns life into practice, and the hidden indicators that prove you're improving without tests. Now it's time to make it real. None of this matters unless you commit to it. Fluency is not a theory, it is not a dream. It is a daily contract you sign with yourself. 35 minutes. Every day. No excuses. Ask yourself, what can you really achieve in 90 days if you keep this contract? Imagine waking up and practicing rhythm until it flows naturally. Imagine repeating phrases until they stick. Imagine shadowing until your mouth shapes words automatically. Imagine living English not just at your desk but in your kitchen, on the bus, in your own thoughts. 90 days from now, if you honor this contract, you will not be the same. You will answer faster. You will think in English more often. You will feel lighter when speaking. That transformation will not come from luck or talent. It will come from the promise you make today and the discipline to keep it tomorrow. The truth is, no teacher, no course, no system can give you fluency. They can guide you, inspire you, even challenge you, but the responsibility is yours. Fluency is earned, not given. And it is earned in small, consistent payments of time and effort. 35 minutes a day is the currency. Every session is a deposit into your future self. Skip too many, and the account stays empty. Stay consistent, and the account grows until one day you look in the mirror and realize you're fluent. This contract is not about punishment, it is about freedom. 35 minutes is not a burden, it is a doorway. It is a moment where you step outside your fear, outside your hesitation, and step into rhythm. Each day you repeat, the door opens wider. Each day you commit, your confidence grows stronger. The contract is simple. Show up. Speak, listen, recall, shadow. Live in English, not once a week, not only when you feel motivated, but every single day. Think of yourself 3 months from now. Someone asks you a question in English. You respond immediately, without translation. They nod, smile, and continue the conversation. You realize you didn't freeze, didn't panic, didn't stumble. That moment will feel like magic, but it won't be magic. It will be proof. Proof that your daily contract worked. Proof that fluency is not distant. It is here, waiting for you, if you honor the rhythm of practice. So here is the challenge, clear and simple. Take a piece of paper. Write today's date. Write the words, "I commit to 35 minutes of English every day." Sign it. Keep it visible. Let it remind you that this journey is yours. On the days you feel tired, look at it. On the days you feel unmotivated, look at it. Remember that you are not waiting for the perfect time. You are building fluency in real time. This is your 35-minute contract with yourself. Keep it, and fluency is guaranteed. Break it, and fluency stays a dream. The choice is in your hands right now. The opportunity is in your voice, in your rhythm, in your commitment. Speak it, live it, honor it, and watch how fast your English transforms.